Backpacking sucks. What's up, everybody? I'm Dan and welcome back to Backpacking Adventures. And on this channel we talk about everything backpacking, hiking, and gear. So if those interest you, whether you're a veteran backpacker or you're just new to this, consider subscribing, but make sure that you do hit that bell notification so you don't miss a thing. Today I'm out for a day hike and it's hot. We're in the middle of a heat wave and now they're calling for rain today. I'm about 10 miles in, I feel hungry, and I'm tired. And this got me thinking, why on earth do I do this? Why do I come out here time after time and backpack and hike? Seriously, this is hard. Why do I do it? I'm like you, I watch other YouTube channels, and when I watch them, I notice that a lot of times it's always just the smiles and the good times and never really the bad things. And I wonder to myself, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Or are they just not telling the whole story? And on my channel, when I'm doing my videos, my trip videos, I try as much as I can to let you know when I'm having trouble, when I get lost, the good with the bad. As a matter of fact, in my last video, I went in the wrong direction and I was clearly annoyed with myself, and I think I portrayed that pretty well on camera because it was just very frustrating to me, and those things can happen to anybody. And I'm willing to bet a lot of times they usually do. And you know, some of those other videos, you always hear about the good things about backpacking, but not always do you hear about some of the bad things about backpacking. And at least through my experience, it's not all rainbows and sunshine where you're just always having a great time and you get to the vista or the view and you're looking and everything's so majestic. It's not always like that. There's lots of times where it just sucks. And that's gonna happen whether you're going on a long hike or just a short day hike. Did you ever hear the phrase, embrace the suck? Well, there's that saying because sometimes it does suck. And like I said, when I do my trip videos, I try to be as real as I can and to let you see the bad with the good. This is how it is. This is what happens to you when you backpack. Face it, it's just hard work. You're hiking mile after mile with weight on your back, and you're going up and down over hills, over mountains. Sometimes you have to do rock scrambles, you're climbing. And after you hike all those miles, when you get to camp, you're gonna have to set up camp. You're gonna have to do your camp chores. You're gonna have to make dinner, hanging your bear bag, and probably gather firewood if you're gonna wanna fire, make a fire, tend to the fire, and all that takes time. It's work. One of the biggest things that can make it suck is the weather. Where I live, it rains a lot. I live in the central Pennsylvania area and I hike all over the state, and it's very few times that I've ever really went on a trip where it hasn't rained. And what does the rain do? Well, it can make you cold, it can just make you miserable, it can make it muddy and make the trail very slippery, especially if it rains day after day. It can really make a trip miserable. It happens. It can be the opposite. It can be extremely hot and dry. In central Pennsylvania, it's been like 1,000 degrees every day for the past, I don't know how many weeks. We haven't had rain. If we did, it was only a drizzle here and there. And the water sources are drying up. It's hot and you can risk heat stroke. You can get dehydrated. So there's that to then contend with. You have the extremes. Now, if you're a fair weather hiker where you're constantly watching the weather and you only go out there in perfect conditions, well, then you're not gonna have this, but then again, you may not be hiking and backpacking that much. Then of course, there are bugs. And right now, I forgot to put on any kind of bug spray and I am being swarmed by the little gnats. There's mosquitoes, there's black flies, there's ticks, and there's gnats. And you just can't avoid it. You just have to deal with the bugs and take precautions and mitigate it as much as you can. But it can suck if you don't have bug spray and you're just being eaten alive by mosquitoes and by those biting flies. And those little gnats that bzz by your head all the time, all day long. They're annoying, they bite you, and some of them even transmit disease, like Lyme disease. Another thing that happens is you're dirty, and you're pretty much dirty all the time. I don't care what anybody tells you. You can clean yourself off and wipe off in streams, sure, but you're still just gonna be basically dirty the entire time. Another thing is backpacking and hiking can just inherently be dangerous. You're out there in the woods, sometimes by yourself, you're walking on trails, it could be raining, it could be slippery. You could fall and you could injure yourself. You could roll an ankle, and I can tell you, almost every trip that I do, hiking or backpacking, I always roll my ankles as I'm hiking, and if it wasn't for my trekking poles, I'd probably be dead in a ditch along the trail somewhere. You can be walking and something as simple as happen as a tree branch hits you in the eye. So that's even something very simple that could injure you. And another thing that can really spoil a trip is when you come across jerks on the trail. You go to a campsite, you're getting set up, and some people happen to go near you or in the site next to you, or sometimes because there's no other sites, they're at the same site as you. They blare music all night long, or they're just loud, obnoxious. When you're tired and you just want to relax and enjoy nature, you don't want to hear their music. That happens more frequently than I think it really should. And I know you came across those jerks too. I want to know in the comments below. I want to hear your story about the jerks that you come across on the trail. Then there's animals. There's snakes, there's bears, there could be mountain lions depending on where you're at, black bear, grizzly bears, all depending on the area. That can be dangerous too. You can get in a dangerous situation with your food, not hanging it at night correctly, or not eating far enough away from where you sleep. Now that's rare and it rarely happens, but it does happen, and it's just something you have to keep in mind. And it's expensive. And even if you go and buy all budget gear, it can still add up because you need quite a bit of gear. You need tents, you need a sleeping pad, or if you have a hammock, you need that. You need underquilts, top quilts, you need sleeping bags, cook kits, you name it, you're gonna need it. And each one could be inexpensive, but it's gonna add up. So it's not really something cheap. So backpacking is not easy by any stretch. I mean, it's difficult work. There are some sucky things about backpacking. So you might be asking, well, why are you trying to deter me from backpacking, or why do I backpack at all? Well, it's because of all that stuff. Overcoming those challenges can really make you feel accomplished, and you're out there in nature. It can be quiet. You can hear the nature noises. You can kind of just be out here. And you know, there's something to be said for being out there hiking all day, being in the rain, having a miserable time, slipping and falling, and then you finally get to your site and you set up and you can curl up in your sleeping bag or in your hammock, and you just feel like, yes, I made it. You know, I accomplished this, and it energizes you for the next day, and you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And eventually you just want more and more and more of backpacking. And those negatives are they're just part of it. You just have to accept it. You have to embrace the suck. And if you do watch other trip videos like I do, and watching them and thinking, man, you know, it's tough for me, I'm having a hard time backpacking, and they make it look so easy, or they're always happy and they're always having a great time. And you're wondering, well, why aren't you? Well, it's normal. They're just not showing you everything. And I don't know anybody that has gone on a trip and is walking up, you know, a mile or 2 mile hill that's steep and said, hey, wow, this is great, I'm smiling. No, they're huffing and puffing, and they're probably complaining the whole way up like I do. Does it suck when you're backpacking sometimes? Well, sure, absolutely it does. But you just have to accept that, and once you can accept it, embrace it, then it makes it fun. So again, tell me in the comments below those stories you have about coming across jerks on the trail, or just about just basic bad times where it sucked for you on the trail. I'm really curious to know. So if you like this video and you think it helped you out in some way, make sure you subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.